Hey, peace world. Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind Sports and Entertainment. My name is Wood. I'm gonna jump right into it, man. Coming back with this week's episode of The Undoing on HBO. We had episode 4, See No Evil. And every series has its lull episode. I guess in a format with 10 or 12 episodes, maybe you have one or two lulls. But this was kind of a lull episode for me. It didn't seem like I didn't get to, it definitely didn't have the cliffhanger at the end. In a way, not as dramatic as the three previous ones. I'll say that much. But I don't know. We didn't really do a whole lot for me in moving the story along. But we get a little bit of backstory here and there, and then maybe the 4 points that I'm gonna run through. Was just my major takeaways. One thing that I'm looking at now that I know the story to this point, I'm looking at the artwork of the show and the way that Grace is leaning on Jonathan's shoulder, and I don't know where I'm at with what she's capable of or what she did or didn't do, and I don't know if they're somehow a team in this situation and this murder. I'm concerned with her walking, in Harlem. How close do they live to Harlem for, her to have been walking there? And at what time of night would that have been happening? I don't know. Um, so let me jump into it. My first point, Pops, Franklin, we know he's wealthy, but he put down the 2 million for bail, gave him 500K that we haven't heard anything about that being paid back. So he's 2.5 in this thing, and it's a long way to go. But he's a philanderer as well as a killer. He threatens before he agrees to pay the bail to get Jonathan out, which Haley wanted that to happen so that her case looks better. She can put together a better narrative if he's a free man. So that happened. But before Franklin agrees to give him that money, he wants to go look him in the eye, talk to him himself, and then also a major thing that he wants to do is to issue a threat to Jonathan that if he runs, if he tries to flee, or anything that would further harm his family, his daughter and his grandson, he said, "I'll track you down and kill you." So that takes me back again to like last week when I was thinking that Franklin might have had something to do with the murder. He is capable and he's powerful, like Haley Fitzgerald has said, and the public defender cat with the scruffy beard that's longer than mine. They don't. A lot of these people don't like rich people. Although I would imagine Haley Fitzgerald is pretty. She's not in the poorhouse exactly. But I thought it was dope that Frank, and it adds to the story that Franklin issues this threat, and it's serious as all get out. He also gets really stern with the principal at Reardon when he goes to tell him about leaning on his grandson. So he's an aggressive guy, and as much as wealthy as he is, we had to already know that. The other thing with him being a philanderer, he comes out and tells his daughter Grace that I didn't like your husband because he reminded me of myself, and he goes on to tell her that I was getting around on your mother, and I also learned from the book. uh in the book it actually comes out that Franklin was on his second marriage, um, when Grace met Jonathan in college, but that's neither here nor there. The second thing that I noticed was maybe Grace is a therapist, which her job is kind of fall, or her occupation or profession has kind of fallen to the wayside now at this point. But maybe there's some kind of mental disorder at play with Grace because one, how she grounds herself, like why does she need to be grounded? What causes her to become ungrounded? But for her to be walking around in the neighborhood again in Harlem after this fundraiser at whatever time of night it was, and for her not to remember it, is something appears to be going on with her. And then also this oil painting that Mendoza and the other detectives show her, the very detailed oil painting. Was this taken from a photograph that Elena had, or did again with them maybe being partners in this thing, Grace and Jonathan? Did she sit for this painting at some point in time, and then she forgot about it or something? And another thing while I'm talking about is she purposely forgetting about things because Mendoza brings up the call record and ask her about all of these calls that Elena made to her phone. And she comes out, Grace says, I didn't answer the phone because I don't answer numbers when I don't know who the caller is because of telemarketers. And I was reading this article. I have to give it up. I didn't pick it up until they mentioned it. But I think I was on vulture.com reading their recap. And remember, Grace actually answered the phone to that telemarketer. But I think, I'm not sure, I can't remember if that's when she was still looking for Jonathan or trying to get in touch with him. But she did answer her phone to an unknown number. But the last thing with the situation or the relationship between Mendoza and his partner and their view of Grace is that Mendoza really seems to like her for some role in this in the murder of Elena. So I don't have any better idea who the killer is or could have been. And as slow as this episode kind of was, with the trial not starting this episode, I'm kind of running out of time. Like, it can't be somebody that we don't know, or it can't be some new character, in my opinion, at this point. It's got to be one of these 3 or 4 people who the story is focusing on. Number 3, we learned more about what's going on with Jonathan. It was kind of weird that he went to the Alvez's home, and busted in and intruded upon Fernando and Miguel and his daughter. That was very weird. I don't really know I don't have an idea or a good sense of why he did that. And, he goes over there and tells Fernando that I didn't do it, that I didn't kill your wife. It's odd that Fernando doesn't beat him down and just kind of just gradually warms up to him. And then they have this moment where he's putting his, do you want to hold your daughter? Do you want to feed your daughter? And then, Jonathan comes out and says, yeah, I've actually met her before. We met before. And then he offers to take her. So this whole encounter, again, just adds to really making it difficult to get a read on what's going on here and what's what. At the same time, Jonathan is also pushing for reconciliation with Grace and Henry. This seems manipulative in a way, to kind of be this bold, equally as bold as going over to Fernando's, but to be out in public and to try to have this warm moment and say that we'll get through this. We also saw him in the hospital room, where Franklin wanted to kill him right there for trying to play doctor with his little flashlight and follow my finger and all of this type of stuff. And Henry's having a certain reaction to this, seeing this warm moment between his parents. He's kind of softening up to the idea of them moving on after this. But while they're at that park or walking along that body of water and whatnot, um, Jonathan pours it on pretty hard with, I'm innocent. We had a pretty good thing. Um, so again, I guess with that discussion right there, maybe they're not in on it. They couldn't, the story writing, I guess the storytelling couldn't be that bad. So maybe I'm wrong there. I have to scratch that. Um, and then lastly, I mean, we can look at there's a lot to take away from Haley Fitzgerald, kind of getting, kicking the tires on Jonathan in her office. She also found out there was another affair. So, and then the relationship that Jonathan is estranged from his family. What does all of that mean? And like I said, with only 2 episodes left, we don't have a lot of time to explore many of these characters, too deeply. But Haley, in order to try to get ahead of some things, it's kind of odd that she advised or was on board to have this interview. Um, I don't even know if that's possible for a case that hasn't happened. Obviously there's certain things that it just seems like with him going on TV, you kind of spoil being. It seems like this would hurt the potential jury pool, because who in New York City wouldn't have seen this interview or this sit down interview, and in some way have been influenced by what he says, or whatever their narrative that they're trying to create. Who wouldn't be affected by that? No one's going to be able to come in there when they go through the whole jury selection process and say, I wasn't aware of any of this. So that I don't know, that part of the story seems a little weird to me. But two things in it, he tries to set this up again. Now he's trying to tell the public that he's innocent. He also, when he was released, he made a short statement before they left, when Haley, Grace, and him left from whatever prison or jail he was in. But here on this interview, he takes these pauses, and he's kind of thought of these responses a little too well in a way, um, trying to win over the favor of the public. And then the two really interesting things that he said was, after he just spent this time trying to make up with his wife, he says, in the midst of this thing, everybody's not taking it into consideration. I'm paraphrasing that, but he's like, I lost someone that I love too. And that's just, I don't know. I don't know if that bodes well for the case or not. We know that Grace has already told Haley that, she doesn't want to take the stand. I don't know if that's a plus or a negative for the defense. We'll have to see, and whether or not she sticks to that. Um, and then at the end of the interview, he says something that he has an idea of who did it. And he's looking all into the camera, and I'm like, and then looking at the trailer for next week, or the teaser or whatever, the preview of the next episode, he's kind of laying the groundwork to put the blame of this on Grace in a way. That's the feel that I get for it. And then the detectives are already kind of going down that road. They have the video footage and the cell phone calls, this picture. So I don't know. it's done a great job in kind of keeping the mystery and the intrigue, the suspense there around who done it, and that's that. The next episode is, check this out, and I'm gonna get on off of here. Um, damn. See no evil. The bloody truth, and then episode 6, the final episode, is trial by fire. So actually, I had this wrong. Episode 4 was do no harm. Last week was see no evil. Damn, I messed that up pretty bad. Yeah, I got to change that title. My bad. How did I get that mixed up? And over here is see no evil. Anyway, one of these websites got it messed up. I went with what was on Google. But that's it, man. I think like I said, we got a lot of ground to cover, and I am a little worried that they could speed through some things. Obviously, this is a murder, a murder trial. They talked a little bit about physical evidence and some other things. Notice that they had the sister come on there talking about white privilege, and if this was a black man, he wouldn't have been out of prison, and so on and so forth. So they kind of addressed some of the current racial tension, and some of the stuff that's going on in the country right now along those lines. Whatever. So anyway, man, that's it, man. Pay me no mind. Sports and entertainment. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Enjoy the rest of the show.